Good afternoon and welcome to AM News Network Presents Summary Judgment. I'm Rachel Baird. I'm joined here by my legal investigator and the president of American News and Information Services, Ed Peruta, transmitting live from the American News Media Center in Central Connecticut. Today is February 6th, 2021.
53rd anniversary of Tet Offensive, February 6th, 1968.
Yep.
Lost a lot of good friends that day, but this is the 53rd anniversary of the worst day of my life.
Okay, but we've talked about that on the show before.
We're not going to talk about it.
We have?
Okay.
We're going to get past that today?
Okay, here's what I'd like to try.
Okay.
You and I have had a conversation in the past, this is a total surprise to you, about what's in the news, who's reporting what, and you've decided that there's a couple of news outlets that you would prefer to get your news from.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I identified 6 of them.
Okay. Do we know what? I know Al Jazeera is one of them.
That was the 7th. That was sort of an outlier. Reuters was one of them. Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. BBC.
Yeah, something in England. I remember that.
BBC. Now, my entire adult life, have been a news junkie. I was always watching the news, reading the news. Every day had to read the news, know what was going on. I've stopped.
Almost, me too. I can't stand it.
Almost cold turkey. And I'll tell you why. If I haven't looked at it.
Everything has an agenda to try to make you think a certain way. It's crazy.
I'm gonna on my phone. I'm gonna hit CNN. Okay. Okay. Here's the topics: COVID-19. What's the next topic? Fox gets rid of Lou Dobbs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What did he do?
I don't know, but they say it's the most highly rated show. Schmirkanish, GOP's fear of their base is warranted. Fear of GOP.
Smirkanish.
Kansas City's Chiefs assistant coach, well, there was an accident, okay? An invisible odorless gas is pitting Texas against Biden, okay? Now, Biden, we'll just say Biden.
It's an unusual headline.
Environment. Kamala Harris.
Okay, Ed, I got to tell you, I'm a little bored right now.
Just hold on.
Yeah, I'm a little bored.
That was CNN, okay? Now, I used to watch CNN all the time. I consider myself a liberal, but I used to watch CNN all the time. I moved over to Fox. There is hardly anything in the news now except COVID-19 and Biden's administration. Nothing. Nothing bad. There's nothing bad.
I mean, I wish I could find my notes from the last time, because I did list 6. Because I said what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify 6 news sources that there's a semi-consensus that they're somewhat objective, and they report on worldwide news and things of broad interest, and go to those sources.
Everyone's saying there's
Oh,
Okay.
problems.
Why don't you do me a favor and go over to the YouTube channel News Now Houston and tell me if you've got a problem over there.
Yeah, I'm on News Now Houston right now.
Is there a problem there too?
Well, no, just on News Now Houston, because that's where she's at. They just call it the talk show because that's what her name. Let me go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
We spoke to you last week, right?
yeah.
I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
So we're gonna, the best we can do is have technical work on it, Ed.
Technical needs a couple of pieces of information.
Right.
Okay, you guys are on live.
Oh, good.
We're
Thank
on
you.
live. Okay. And that's, you're watching News Now Houston, the channel, right?
Alright, yep, everyone's back. We're back.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay. Listen, thank you.
Well, do you feel like talking for a minute now that you're on?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to talk about, I was watching your videos back, because I was just a new viewer, on Summary Judgment Talk Show. But it seems like you guys don't think Trump incited the insurrection.
It seems like we don't think he did, or think he did.
You don't think so. I do think so.
I don't remember really talking about it that much.
Okay, well let me give you my opinion. I think that Donald Trump believes he has a following. Donald Trump believed that the election was rigged to some degree, and I don't think he told people to do what they did at the Capitol.
Okay.
Did
Well,
he?
yeah, you know what?
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
Right. So this is where I find it, right? So we have to look at what he did prior, what he's been talking about for the past month, and what he did after, right? So let's say his rhetoric and his speech, there was not, it was provoking, but it wasn't definitive on the dot that we could say who aided and abetted it, right? But after we've seen what happened, he didn't issue the National Guards. According to sources by the White House, he said that there needs to be no National Guard. The Vice President Mike Pence issued the National Guard, and he told the rioters he loved them, and they were special to him after. So I think, a prosecutor's going to look at that, and now, of course, is it highly likely that he's going to get convicted in the Senate? That's no-brainer. That's probably not going to happen. But the fact that, he's still thinking the election is stolen, the Supreme Court judges, the people that he chooses, that are Trump-Pence Supreme Court judges that found out that there's no credible evidence to prove that the election is stolen, you don't have a claim, and he's still telling his supporters till this day, still telling some of his friends till this day, and using it as somewhat as a claim that the election is stolen. The election is not stolen. Now, are there invalid votes somewhere? I'm sure. Now, do we think that there's 76 million invalid votes somewhere? I don't think so. So that's why.
Well, what if there was 100,000 votes that were wrong? Forget 76 million.
I would go ahead.
Forget the one number 76 million, and forget the number 2 and 3. But what if there were 100,000 votes that were improperly cast?
Let's investigate it. Let's get to the bottom of it.
I agree.
Let's investigate it. Let it be proved. Right?
I agree.
There's no evidence.
I agree completely, because let me explain. If I had to do it, I would do it in this country exactly how we told them to do it in Baghdad in Iraq. Do you know how they did it over there for the first time? They dipped their thumb in red dye or green dye to say I voted. And you can't walk back in with a green thumb and say I want to vote again.
Somebody would find a way.
Somebody would find a way.
Correct.
Do you agree that someone can find a way electronically?
Of course, there's so many loopholes and obstacles. I'm sure you can find out how to, fraudulently prove it. But the claim that he's been saying that dead people voting. I mean, there was these few women that he went on and said one her name was Brennan, and she said he claimed about her that she was dead. Well, she appeared on CNN about 2 weeks ago. And that was just, very disturbing, defamation, lying claims. They could be a civil lawsuit, but of course, we're not going to take that because we need to start working on our new administration right now. But it's done. Now the question is,
it is done.
Should he get convicted in the Senate, right? Some people are calling for unity. Well, there needs to be accountability. 5 people were dead because of this. No, this is something Trump provoked. He did not issue National Guard. Let's look before what he said. He told them to fight like hell, go take back our country. And then we have Mo Brooks saying, kick ass and taking down names. If that's not provoking, I don't know what is. I supported Trump during the 2016 election. He's not a Republican. I know you two are Republican. I'm Republican. He's not Republican. He does not demonstrate the Republican Party. He's making it look like crappy now. Then we have Marjorie Greene saying, 9/11 is not real, and Parkland shooting that ended up taking 17 children's faith. It's crazy. It's just dreadful.
Now, I respect your position. My position is that the election's over. This is America. I'm a lawyer. There's a justice system, but the fact of the matter is people win all the time in America by cheating. People win all the time in America by getting over. There are some people that even think, that's the way to win, by cheating and getting over. So to me, pragmatically, it doesn't really matter whether the election was stolen or not. Biden is the recognized winner, and that's the way it works in real life. I'm sorry. And I don't know I have not looked up the elements of insurrection. It's obviously not a offense that most lawyers deal with in their everyday practice. I would say 99 point whatever lawyers never have to even think about it.
Are looking into this.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave it to them, but I do know that we have so many events in America. I mean, some people say that Pearl Harbor was known in advance by Franklin Roosevelt, and the goal was to get us involved because he knew we needed to be involved in World War II, and that was the only way to get people involved in World War II. Some people say that whole thing down in, that boat that exploded, and Hearst reported it and got us into war.
Remember the Maine.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things in America that have happened that we don't get to the bottom of it for 50 to 100 years when things come out. So we don't have enough distance from any of this. And unfortunately, I don't think any of us are really going to be alive when the truth comes out about this. And so I just think it's too soon to know what actually happened, because there are too many people with motivations to spin it the way they want to spin it. And we're sitting here far away from it, and we have no idea how it's being spinned or whatever.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you, Rachel.
Yeah.
But,
I'm very pragmatic.
The problem is that I see it. It's not like they went to riot or somewhere else. No, they went to the Congress building to try to stop and kill the vice president. And, and to object to this, not to object to overturning the election. I mean, y'all could have protested somewhere else. No, they went to the Congress. That's where their motive was. They went to the Capitol building where senators, politicians, representatives, the vice president, Nancy Pelosi, everyone was that day.
And for the next how long? Maybe until this country no longer exists, which could be sooner rather than later. The liberals and Democrats are going to use that to be breaking into people's homes who don't have the same belief systems they do, under the guise of domestic terrorism, and we're going to turn into a, what people like to call a, communist state. Although, God, if you know anything about communism, there's never been a communist state in the history of the world. But they're going to use that as an excuse to go after people who don't have the same belief systems as they do, under the guise of domestic terrorism. We're going to be living in McCarthyism sooner rather than later, and I think you're right. They're going to use that circumstance at the Capitol by, let's face it, people that had no chance of insurrecting anything. I mean, it was just so buffoonish what was done. It's embarrassing. Go ahead, Ed.
No, can I have a minute?
Yeah, you've been good.
Caller,
go ahead.
I need to ask you first of all, are you under 30 years old? Do you know anything about the Kent State incident during the Vietnam War?
I know some about it. I know some people that were involved about it.
Well, no.
Well, go ahead. What's your point?
A group of National Guard was sent to Kent State because there were demonstrations. They were issued live ammunition with bullets. And a National Guard member fired his rifle into the crowd and killed at least one student. And once one person fired, everybody started firing. Okay? Do you believe that everybody that was on the Capitol steps went there to kill Vice President Pence or Pelosi?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
What percentage of the people do you believe went there for violence?
You know, I think no one went there for violence.
Oh, some did. They were
Yes,
equipped
I
for
do
violence.
think so. Correct. But when Trump was, talking to them, Trump was trying. Of course, he's not going to say go kill, the people. I mean, that's just, ludicrous. But he was provoking the violence. Some people were getting prepared for the violence. But now I'm thinking about it. Some people had like handcuffs and stuff. So I don't know. I do think some people actually went there to go commit violent offenses. But I think Trump turned them on. And guess what? Everyone's behind that gate, and they're getting arrested for misdemeanor. That's not a misdemeanor. That's federal trespassing on federal property. That should not be a misdemeanor. I don't think it is because it's federal trespassing.
The date of January 6th, 2021, I'm sure is going to go down in history like April 19th, 1775. I'm positive of it. They're going to say that's when it started. Oh, let me say something. If you live in the state of Virginia, caller.
Yeah.
All right. Are you a proponent of individuals carrying firearms?
Yes, I believe yes. Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you going to do? Because I understand it's already being done. That the FBI and everybody is gathering as much privately shot video as possible to identify as many people as possible to tell these people, one, you're on a no-fly list. You can no longer fly from Florida to Washington for a protest. Number two, you're probably not going to be...
I think that's not up for us to decide because at the end of the day, that's more like private. That's not more from the government. So if they want to refuse service to people, then I think that's their right.
Say that again.
No. I think what she's saying is that the airplanes, the companies that fly the airplane, stop it.
I got it.
Can refuse service, but this is a government.
But how do they know who to refuse service to unless the government gave them a list?
Well, it's a government no-fly list.
It's a government list.
Yeah, definitely. I think
The airlines are complying with a list generated by government to prevent certain individuals from flying on a plane. I do think certain airline companies have their own no-fly list. If you're a jerk on the plane and they gotta stop it and let you off, they do.
Yeah, definitely.
But what I'm trying to say to the caller is this: is that government officials in general do not like private individuals with video cameras videotaping government activity. You're aware of that? You watch News Now Houston. Do you watch the audits when people try to record?
Right, of course. And I think that's their right. I'm tired of the police officers skating people away.
But the government is using privately shot video to identify people at the Capitol, and now they're going after those people and they're going to run charges against them.
How are they getting the privately shot video?
They're going to chain reaction, domino effect. They see a person they recognize with a camera, they go get him.
Right.
Then that person has video that shows another person with a camera.
But how do they get it? Are they making the person give it to them? That's my question.
How many people let law enforcement into their house when they don't have to?
The people are probably afraid.
Cool. And I think it's what I think it is? I think it's because the FBI is giving rewards for a lot of these people.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
Listen. When Trump got elected, I said, I don't care if he's impeached, I don't care if he resigns, I don't care if he dies in office. As long as he gets elected, he will change the way this government is operating.
So what, and I'm asking myself this question and then I'll answer it. What should Trump have done as a responsible person?
He was the president.
In the position as president, he should have discouraged this event. There's no doubt about it. Number one, he should have discouraged the event because he knew that the people involved, there would be probably serious consequences for them. So if he cared about the people that supported him, he probably should have discouraged it for their own benefit. He should have discouraged it because if he had any desire to overthrow the election, this sure wasn't going to accomplish that, okay? And number three, just as a responsible person and an American, he should have discouraged it as well. And this is the problem why people say Trump shouldn't have been president, because he's not a career politician like somebody like Biden who knows the rules. This is exactly why courts don't want people representing themselves, because in court, when you're an attorney, you go by the rules, you have the practice book, you're afraid that if you do something wrong, there's going to be consequences for your practice, so they can keep you in line under the threat of losing your livelihood. But when people go in and represent themselves, which everybody has a right to do, you don't have to hire an attorney to go to court. You can go in and represent yourself. Then all bets are off. People are saying the most outrageous things in court. They're confronting the judge. They're asking questions. They're not following the rules. And this is exactly why people want dyed-in-the-wool politicians to be in office, because the things that happened while Trump was in office.
Caller,
Right.
can
Yeah, this,
We can talk
Go
to
ahead.
JC
No,
later.
no,
He
no.
can call back.
tell JC to call back
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
We'll be here.
Yeah.
But to the caller, do you have a first name we can use, or give me a fake name to use so I don't have whatever?
Caller.
Caller.
Virginia.
Jared, you can,
Jared.
Virginia.
Okay.
My phone number is 7.
No, don't. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Jared.
Yeah, for a while.
Jared.
Okay.
My concern is this, is that I would like to run a lottery. You send me $100 and you pick the day that the National Guard is going to leave the Capitol in mass. In other words, they're going to be gone. Just give me a day. 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. When is the National Guard or the military going to stop protecting the United States Capitol? That's one. Number two, when are the fences going to come down around the White House and the Capitol?
Do you want the fences to come down?
No, but I want the United States to admit that we now have a green zone similar to Baghdad in Washington, D.C. In Baghdad, we claim to have won a war, appeased and freed a country, removed a dictator, but we put up a wall. 3.9 square miles of the city of Baghdad is walled off, and Iraqi citizens were not allowed to enter that perimeter from 2003 through 2018, and only in 2018 a few Iraqis were allowed to come in and look around. We have now, in this country, a green zone.
Okay, well, you asked a question, though.
So now, do you think the National Guard should stay in Washington?
I think they should stay in Washington, but I don't think that there should be thousands of them, by the Capitol. But again, it comes back on Trump. Trump rhetoric, he incited it. I think we need about.
Do you know why do you know why the National Guard is in Washington? Who asked for the National Guard?
I think the mayor of Washington D.C. did.
Washington police chief said my men cannot control the city.
Right. Oh, wow.
Why hasn't the mayor of Chicago done the same thing? Why hasn't the mayor of Chicago
Oh my God.
called the National Guard? Why didn't Obama send back to his state, Illinois, the National Guard to quell the murders in Chicago?
Do you know why? Because nobody cares about all the black people that get murdered
Exactly.
in Chicago.
Exactly.
Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Nobody cares.
Why didn't, what I'm saying to you is, we're protecting the politicians. I read today that 2 congressmen were fined $5,000 each because they refused to walk through a metal detector going into the Capitol. Congressmen are pissed that they can't carry a firearm and they're walking into the Capitol, have to go through a metal detector. We do it every fucking day. We do it at airports, we do it at courthouses, we do it at some businesses. We got to walk through a metal detector to get in.
Again, I think it's more, it's not permanent. Nancy requested, as the House, she's the leader of the House, she requested metal detectors. She also put in a fine for Marjorie Taylor Greene that likes to walk in without wearing a mask.
Without wearing a mask?
As we Republicans, we like limited government. We don't want, the police stopping us or just because of little things. That dire event that happened, the dreadful event that happened, I think that there's some teeth to put that there. You know what I mean? But do I think it should be there permanent? No, I don't. Why? A liberal would argue, well, why are you ducking the metal detectors? Why aren't you walking, by the metal detectors? But if the American, if a regular citizen walked through there and refused, then that sheriff would have, arrested him and detained him for unlawfully walking past the metal detector. So again, the politicians are also getting more teeth than regular citizens are as well.
They're scared.
The metal detectors at the Capitol will go away when the metal detectors at airports go away.
That's right.
That's
right.
which means never.
I like that.
Jared,
Yeah.
the politicians that are currently working in Washington, D.C. are now afraid. They're fearful. I go back to when Congressman Lewis and who's the woman from Senator from Massachusetts?
Warren, whatever.
Senator Warren, when they conducted a sit-in in the House of Representatives. They demonstrated with a sit-in on the floor of the House of Representatives. That offended me because that's my house, not their house. The House belongs to the people, the Senate belongs to the states. That's our house. What right do you have? Can I get a permit to hold a sit-in protest on the floor of the Congress? Absolutely not. What gave them the right to do it? Why weren't they fined? Why weren't they taken into custody? Why weren't they reprimanded? They're trying to impeach Trump for one reason and one reason only. They don't ever want him to run for public office again. But what if...
We can all three agree now he doesn't need to run for again, correct? He doesn't.
Say that again?
I think we can agree, right? We don't want him running again. We'd rather have a different Republican.
I can't tell you what I'm going to be thinking 4 years from now.
Yeah,
3 years from now.
I mean, it's such a double-edged sword, and I've said this. The only way he got elected is because of how he is, and what brought on his troubles is because of how he is. So,
a rich businessman.
Yeah, for a non-politician to get elected, they are going to have to be so outside the norm, like him, that otherwise we're just going to have Biden, Bush, Clinton,
four plus,
Biden.
Jared.
God, we'll probably have Michelle Obama next, and then we'll have Chelsea Clinton, and then by that time the Obama kids will be older, and we'll have them. I mean, it's like just the same old thing all the time. So to break out of that, you need somebody very unusual. The problem is when somebody unusual gets in, you don't know what's going to happen.
Everybody
But
agrees.
I mean, it's all worth it. We know it was already bad from the beginning. That's no question. But it worked in past this point. I mean,
I don't know
Obama,
why
he did not have a break. I mean, when Obama left, I don't even like the Obamacare, but, I thought Trump was going to be that's why my parents, we voted for him, right?
Right.
But, after this, I would never vote for him again. go back where she came from. Stuff like that. That's derogatory comment.
Well, the problem with stuff like that, picking out things, of course that's not right. But anybody can pick things out of anybody. I am so offended by the way Biden touches small girls that I think that any woman who had experiences when she was younger would actually have PTSD watching him touch young girls and watching adults stand by while he touches their children. And I'm going to say it right here. That senator from Delaware, Chris Coons, Coons, and he wasn't in my law school class, but he was at my law school the same time I was, and I didn't know him, but I know that even in law school, he said his goal was to be a senator. Well, my God, how many people, say that and then actually achieve it? Well, he did, and I watched him at some ceremony. He was here, his wife was here, Biden was here, and his daughter, who was about, 10 years old, Biden took his hand and put it right down here, and the little girl kind of went like this because his hand was going for it. I'm sorry. I am a criminal defense attorney, and I've seen people arrested for less, okay? And so that bothers me. Now, does that mean he shouldn't be president? Well, he wasn't convicted of anything. The parents didn't seem to mind. And let's just watch Chris Coons and see what kind of position he gets in the Biden administration. Good for him. His daughter paid for what he's going to get out of it. But when you bring up things that politicians do, like what Trump did was wrong, I'm going to always come back.
And the Congressman Omar, who's as bad as the one... All right, Jared,
why don't we let her get the last word? Okay, go ahead. We've talked a lot.
Jared is a her?
Him, whatever. I don't know. Go ahead, Jared.
Oh no, you can go. Bernard, or he can go ahead and get the last word.
No, you have the last word. You've been so good through this whole thing, listening to us.
It was a great time talking to you too.
Okay, it
Call
really
back.
was. It really
Call
was
back
good.
next week.
I will. I definitely will. I love talking to
Jared,
you.
thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's
All right.
great to talk about politics.
It is.
Good to vent.
It is, and you know what? It's good to talk about it like this, where people get emotional, but yet they still listen to each other and respect each other. So I appreciate that.
Because I respect everything he said.
Right.
It's just, I come out with a different number at the end of doing the math.
Well, we all come out with different numbers.
Okay.
Okay.
Jared, talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay.
JC's trying to get through.
You know what?
He's watching.
JC will get through eventually. We know where JC is. He knows where we are. He's going to get through. It's fine.
He is. I know.
Okay, so we had as soon as JC calls now, we're going to break up. We're going to stop what we're talking about. We're going to stop any phone calls, and we're going to get his call. Okay, but now I would like to tell you about something exciting that happened in the Connecticut courts this week. And you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so we have talked on this show about how COVID has affected public access to the courts. Public access to the courts is extremely important. In civil cases in Connecticut, they've started using Zoom, where a judge, everybody's in a separate place. You're not in an actual courtroom. So Ed and I were like, well, how are people going to have public access to the courts?
Right.
And so the Connecticut courts, and I don't know if other states have started doing this to the same degree that Connecticut has, but they've set up a live streaming site. Each courtroom has its own YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. They put out the list of events the night before so you can look and plan what you want to watch the next day. There's a little thing to click on where you can see the actual docket, what the case is all about. It's amazing, okay? But it's very limited. They have housing matters, which, oh my God, if you watch these housing court matters, and if you want to be a lawyer and you watch these housing court matters, it will give you a pause. You'll say, oh my God, I can't believe people actually spend, their life, talking about issues like this. And then the judges, you're like, is this what people become judges for, to sit and listen to people talk about rats in their bedroom? It really will give you insight into the minutia of things that are addressed every day in our courtrooms. It's not at all like television.
Do you have any idea? I do. Do you have any idea why we have housing courts?
Well, I know the obvious answer. What's your answer?
So a landlord doesn't shoot a tenant, and a
Well, I
tenant
was
doesn't
going to
shoot a
say,
landlord.
well, why do we have courts, period? So people don't go kill each other on their own.
But here's what was amazing to me about what happened this week. They're letting the public in to see the civil court.
Right.
They're letting the public in to see the housing court.
But what does the court people
but they're
really
not
want
doing
to see?
shit. They're not doing shit with the criminal court. In other words, usually every business day, Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock, what do they do in the courtroom? Arraignments.
Yeah.
11 o'clock is like the arraignment hour.
Yep.
Okay?
Do you know why
That's
that is?
Well, they got to get the prisoners from around the state or the different jails there.
Yeah, the police bring in the paperwork, the
Right.
clerks have to process it, make a file out of it, all
Right.
that.
So at 11 o'clock, they start bringing people up from the lockup downstairs, the people that are in custody. And then some people come in to be arraigned, but you know,
they made bond or whatever, yeah.
the public, the government does not want you to see the camera should be on the negotiations between an accused and the prosecutor. What are they talking about at the table? Well, let me see. You're charged with vehicular manslaughter.
Oh, break it up. It's JC.
You're accused with vehicular manslaughter, but if you'll agree to plead guilty to violation of a stop sign, we'll dismiss it. We'll drop the charge and pay a fine of $50.
Yeah, well, I have an opinion on that,
Yeah,
but we're breaking it up for JC. We're stopping.
Okay.
Here we go.
Mr. Playford. Mr. Playford. One more time. Mr. Playford. Is he on? Are we on hold or is he?
Did he put us on hold?
No, I put him on hold so you guys could pick up the phone.
There
Okay, JC.
he is. Maybe he got another call. He's a busy man, Ed.
JC.
Okay.
He'll call back.
He'll call back.
He'll call back.
So can we put my computer screen up? Here we go. Here it is. So what you do, Ed, Judicial Branch Superior Court live stream, you go down here to statewide listing, right? And it shows what cases are going to be on Monday morning in the different courthouses, in the different courtrooms, in the different courthouses. And let's say, Ed, that you're interested in watching Willow Park Apartments versus Jasmine Battles. Okay, you want to know what that case is about. Well, you watch it by pressing there, but before that, you don't know if you want to watch it yet. So you go to case detail and you say, oh, this is what this case is about. And you can read the pleadings, you can read all that.
Now, I want
Yeah?
to go back. Go
Okay.
back. I want to go back to something.
Here,
What do you notice on that page that intrigues me?
what do I notice that intrigues you?
YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
Now,
Yes.
my question is this. Does the government have a contract with YouTube to do this? Or does YouTube give it to them and say you can do this? Or can they do like we do and use it for free?
I don't know that.
YouTube was cutting people off of the use. In other words, cut Trump off, cut this off, cut that off, cut them off. Okay? Are they currying favor? If what's going on?
Okay,
here?
so
YouTube.
let's go to that. Now nothing's going to be there now because and you can subscribe. I'm trying to subscribe to all of them. So here's the interesting part: when you actually watch, and they have you can't comment if it's playing. The comments are turned off, but somebody needs to go into discussion because you can still post comments on discussion, right? I think they didn't. I
don't
didn't
know.
Well, you can, right? Look, you can do that. So they probably need to examine that because the last thing they really want is people discussing a case.
Well, it's
while
funny
playing.
because at one time I had all of the GAs as domain names.
Yeah. So what I want to point out, and I don't think it's on here, is if it were live streaming right now, according to the judicial branch, I'm not allowed to show it like I am right now, right? You're not allowed, if it's up there, you're not allowed to reproduce it, record it, take screenshots of it. That's what the judicial branch puts down at the bottom of its live streaming. But I think that's not consistent with the license of YouTube.
My question would be this.
Yeah.
How many cameras are in operation in the state for this program?
Right.
Are they remote cameras or are they stationary cameras?
I think they're all Zoom. I think there's no cameras. No
well,
cameras.
you have to have a camera to have Zoom.
You have to have
Something has to capture the image of the judge.
on the laptop. The judge has a laptop.
Okay. How does it get here?
Well, you don't understand Zoom.
I do.
Yeah.
The people each have a computer, or the judge is looking at a computer or a camera.
Right.
Is there a camera mounted on the back wall
No.
just doing the judge?
No.
He does it from home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he can do it from wherever he wants.
Can hold his cell phone and be at the beach.
I think what you have is a technical question, which it would be pretty easily answered because a lot of Zoom stuff is all over the internet. Everybody knows that, so that's not really an issue. Yeah.
So they're taking the Zoom,
And
a
putting
copy
it up.
of the Zoom, and putting the Zoom up on YouTube.
They're putting the Zoom up as it occurs. They're not putting
Okay.
a copy up. It's as it
Okay.
occurs. It's
so
live.
if I go to YouTube, is there a warning about copyright or anything on the site?
Yes.
Why couldn't we do that?
Right. When you go here right now, because it's not live streaming, there's no notice. If it were live streaming, there would be a notice. So I can't answer that right now. No, these are interesting issues, what you're talking about. But they're going to say because you can't record in the courtroom, it's like a courtroom except it's virtual, so you can't record while it's going on.
Yeah, how does the media cover an event?
Well, that's different. If you're the media, they have that special mechanism where you can get in and cover it. So
Okay,
that's different.
My question would be this. You're right. You can go in and look over the clerk's shoulder at the screen and see what's going on.
Right.
Okay.
Or you can get in through For the Record, right? You can hook right
I
up
believe
from
you
at
can
home.
go in through For the Record, but are they saying that for me to go in through For the Record and receive that, I'm not able to rebroadcast it?
No. The same rules apply as always to the media, and the same rules apply as always to people just attending court. If you're just attending court, at least in Connecticut, you can't walk in with your camera in court and sit there and go like this to the judge. They don't allow that.
Right.
Okay? They just don't. They don't even allow you to turn the recorder on and record everything in the courtroom.
Right.
So if you're at home watching it virtually, they don't allow you to do that either, I guess, to sit there and record it. And so the process is the same, but you have hit the nail on the head. I didn't think about this. What are you two? Okay, you. Let's go over what you just did.
Okay. I never started the clock.
Uh-huh.
How much time do we have left?
15.
Okay, I didn't know that. Now I do.
Okay.
Okay. That's why I did it. Because I can go like this, okay? And now, when it says 45, we're out of time.
Yeah, because we don't want to run over.
No, we don't want to run over because then there's confusion in putting it out to the public access stations on a DVD and a time slot. There's only 60 minutes, no extra seconds, when you send it into a public access station.
JC did tell you a couple exciting cases that came out this week.
Well,
that's probably why he
Gary
called.
Nance gave us one,
Mm-hmm.
and JC gave us one. There's a court in Texas who acknowledged that summary judgment can't always be granted.
Wait, he was talking about our show?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I knew that we'd gotten out through News Now Houston, but I didn't know judges were talking about it.
Yeah.
Look, summary
I
judgment.
know.
Okay.
Someone, a couple of corrections officers or somebody had put an individual into a filthy cell, human feces, everything else, and he sued, and they said some qualified immunity. You have qualified immunity.
Because there's no specific case out there that says they couldn't do
Right.
that
And
specific thing.
the court-
Therefore, how could they have known?
The United States Supreme Court came out and said
Yeah.
any reasonable person would have known this wasn't good.
Yeah, we don't
Okay.
we don't need
So
a
we're
specific
not,
case.
they're not granted qualified immunity. So it goes back to whatever, okay? And the other one that came out
So
was filming in federal parks.
that was a big one.
That the federal government or somebody had put together rules that you can't film or have a film production. You can't go in and make a movie in a public park you know, like with your home video camera, home video movie. You can't do it. And the Supreme Court said you can't stop them. I don't know the particulars, but it had to do with video recording or taking photographs in a public park. Gary Nance had something too. But, you know, we have sources of information. And
let's talk a little bit about an ethical issue that came up this week. And I don't want to go into details of the facts, but I want to talk about the ethical issue. If a news organization, such as you,
yeah,
receives an anonymous letter,
yep,
and you have not, either because of a lack of time or lack of interest or other priorities, have not investigated personally the allegations.
Let me
in the
set it
letter.
up. Let me set it up.
Okay.
American News received a 7-page anonymous letter. We talked about it
We've
on the show.
talked about it, right.
And that letter was sent early December. And it didn't generate one peep of information to the public, the fact that it was received. And it had allegations in it against members of the police department, members of the town. Okay? It had allegations of wrongdoing.
And when you say no peep, the town did not publicize that
it
letter.
wasn't publicized, it wasn't acknowledged, nobody knew about it.
So
whatever.
the only way a news organization would know about it would be to have a standing request, basically. I want a copy of every anonymous letter you get, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, how would they know?
So,
Oh, JC's back.
so let her answer it, let her put him on hold, and then we'll take it.
Okay.
So, I didn't read the whole letter. It was the fact that the letter was not investigated or nobody knew anything about the letter that concerned me. In other words, if this letter is so damaging, why does nobody know about it? How can nobody know about it? So, we need to talk to JC.
Let's do it.
Okay. Mr. Playford. Mr. Playford.
How you doing, Mr. Peruta?
Where's
Nice.
this music coming from?
Not me.
Well, it's funny. Did you shut something off, Ariel? Okay.
Oh yeah, rat out our help behind the glass over there.
I know.
Oh.
Okay. It's your show. Go ahead.
Let's talk about this thing. How long is that sentence going to stay up around there? A long time. Why? Because they want to use fear to control us.
Yes.
Okay, we've been getting away with crimes for the past 5 years. None of them have been held accountable. Not a damn one. Look at what happened with the Russia investigation. Okay? It took how many years to clear Trump as being the honest guy, and then being all the liars, then being all the thieves, then being all the crooks? Okay? That's what they don't want. They don't want to lose control of our money. And this is what it's all about.
JC,
They
give me
want us,
give me
and they
10
want our money.
give me 10 seconds to interject something into your conversation.
Go on in.
I believe it was in 1965, then Defense Secretary McNamara told the country and the world that the United States had been attacked by gunboats in the Gulf of Tonkin off the coast of North Vietnam. It wasn't until McNamara was near on his deathbed or had lost his son in combat that he came out and told the truth and said there were never any gunboats.
That's a good example. I was trying to think of an example like that. You don't know forever.
There were never McNamara, and then you had the second guy in the FBI was Deep Throat. You never knew it was him.
Yep.
Okay, Woodward and Bernstein and the people at the Washington Post knew who it was. But what I'm saying is McNamara eventually came out and admitted. Okay, the Gulf of Tonkin incident was a whole farce to get it going. Now, there's people when she was saying that British intelligence was already in Southeast Asia. It was in Malaysia. They had colonies Hong Kong. They were in Southeast Asia. They knew that the Japanese were planning an attack. People say that Churchill knew that Pearl Harbor was going to get bombed. It's maybe not Roosevelt, but Churchill knew it, and Churchill said, "Let it happen, because that'll bring them on our side."
It's a strategy.
Okay, it's a strategy. That's right.
Right.
So now go ahead, JC. When
Exactly.
you hear
That
shit
is
coming out
exactly
of a government mouth, you can't just simply believe it. It's not true.
And what we have to resign ourselves to is, given where we are, we may never know the truth. I don't understand how people are so 100% committed to that they know the truth. How on earth, at our level, would you know the truth about that stuff? I don't understand how anybody thinks they know it.
I really wish Trump would have released the JFK papers. I really wish he would have declassified all the stuff concerning Biden and Harris and the rest of them behind all that bullshit these people. But he didn't, and he should have. He should have declassified a lot of stuff and made it available to us. He come up way short on all that. But he scared them because he exposed them. And that's why they kept saying, we just got to get rid of that man. They couldn't say what he was doing wrong. We just got to get rid of that man. So that was the thing. Let's create fear. Let's create this. Do I believe we lost that election? No. Do I believe there's a lot of bullshit that needs to be explained to us? Yes. Do I believe that right now we've fallen into a socialist dictatorship? Yes. And what better way than protect that social dictatorship than put armed guards out in front of the building? But isn't it kind of funny? They want to protect the house that they're in, but they don't want to protect the houses that the American people are in. They opened up our borders. They're not protecting my job. I'm a contractor. Okay, I'm in Home Depot the other day. I got 5 illegal aliens being lined up, being bought all new tools and stuff and everything to go work on their illegal job. Okay? What they're doing is destroying this country, and they're doing it on purpose. They're doing it for money. And the Biden crime family needs to go to jail. Period. It is a crime family, and they need to be held accountable. That's why those bunkers are up there, to make sure we don't. Tony never went to jail. Brennan never went to jail. None of them. Clapper, none of them. Look at the FBI agent. Okay, we were in a time of war at that time. Okay, a declared war. And this man tried to overthrow our duly elected president by changing emails. That's treasonous. If a Marine did that, we'd have shot his fucking ass.
Hey JC, do you think Trump? Hey JC, do you think Trump should have pardoned Snowden and Julian Assange?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I do too.
That disappointed me to no
too.
end. Why
Let
didn't
me
he?
explain this to you. The last time the Democrats had control, I remember a lot of reporters were afraid to take paperwork across state lines because they're afraid Obama might try to do something to them. Well, we've got worse than Obama. We've got this dumbass who's a puppet who just really just needs to go away. That whole group just needs to go to jail where they belong. They just need to be held accountable. Every damn one of them.
JC,
Okay.
when do you think the National Guard is going to leave Washington?
The guts to throw Biden's ass out of there.
Right. Now, while you're on the phone, I don't understand and can't define in my head what is a progressive. I know it's on the left. A progressive is on the left. Is it way on the left? Is it somewhat on the left? Where is it on the left?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay, because there was an article today that the progressives are probably going to be disappointed because the $15 an hour wage increase may not be included in the COVID-19 stimulus 1.9 million, 1.9 trillion, billion, whatever. Okay? So what I'm trying to say to you is this, is that promises were made, and now I understand that people are out of work, but what you do, and we did this after Newtown, okay, in Connecticut, I called it the political tsunami. In other words, the politicians don't see it as a destructive wave. They see it as a reason to grab their political surfboards and get on it, and we're going to get anything we want right now. We can ask for anything as long as we give the people $15 an hour and stimulus checks. We can ride it. We can ride our pet issues through the Congress, through the Senate, through the White House, and get what we want on this political tsunami.
Yeah. I mean, hello. I mean, we've got a dictator in there who doesn't believe in the art of the deal. Doesn't believe that people should negotiate for the things we want. You're being bullied.
Well, they're saying they're going to put COVID through without the Republicans.
COVID?
The stimulus.
Oh.
The stimulus, COVID stimulus. Okay? And how do you do that? You push it through with less amount. But you don't ask the Republicans for anything. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay? It's a game they played for control. You go back to July 2019, and you had mainstream media going, we need a pandemic to get rid of this man. Boom, and all of a sudden the pandemic shows up.
Oh, that's because the Democrats in the Capitol Hill have a bugler.
What does that mean?
What?
What does that mean that you just did?
No, they're calling the COVID. They're calling the pandemic. You know, reveille or assemble now. There's an actual bugle call for come to assembly. Okay, and I'm telling you, all they got to do is blow the political trumpet in Washington, and they get what they want.
Yeah, first of all, we got lucky in New York, got 3 months to declare an election for a congressperson in a small town. 3 months. Okay, there was an election date, not an election year. Okay, an election day. For that to finally be resolved 3.5 months later is ridiculous.
They had to count the hanging chads.
Socialism and dictatorshipism and communism without even firing a shot. We've given up most of our rights, and the one who helped start it all was the good old Bushies with their Patriot Act. Okay? And who was the Bushies coming out supporting? The Democrats who are trying to grab more of our freedoms. Think about that. So how much control do all these big rich people want over us? All of it. Everything that they can get, because we're not fighting back. Okay? Our Congress people were shot at. Our friends and neighbors who are fans of Trump were being attacked in the damn streets for nothing more than believing they wouldn't put their Trump signs out in their yard because they were being attacked viciously, having properties destroyed and that type of stuff. If that's not a cold-blooded declaration of war, I don't know what the hell is.
But and you know who else Trump didn't pardon is that couple in, I forget where they were, the woman in the black and white striped shirt.
Missouri.
Huh?
Yeah, Missouri.
Missouri. Where they were standing out in their front yard with their guns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't pardon them either.
Yeah, but he did Lil Wayne.
But let me tell you something. If there were 100,000 people in the front of that house with guns, 50,000 males and 50,000 females, there would have never been an arrest. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, because chances are they probably would have been Antifa, and Antifa doesn't get arrested. And if they do, the vice president bails them out.
Yeah, Antifa is pissed off. They wear a mask during the demonstration, but they take their picture with a mugshot and put it up, and everybody knows who they are. They're pissed. We don't want anybody to know who we are.
Yeah, join the crowd.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, well, I've always wanted people to know who I am because I'm proud of everything I do.
Hey, did you hear about the guys that run mugshots.com? They, yeah, I guess, I didn't know they did this, but I guess they put people's mugshots up and then allegedly extort people, you know, for money and to take them down. And I guess they got arrested for extortion and their mugshots were up. So there you go. Karma.
Yeah,
Karma.
I don't consider that extortion. I consider that fair trade. Here, I got this picture. You can buy this picture from me. I mean, we deal with pictures and videos all day long.
Yeah.
That's not extortion.
I think it.
Record. Anybody can put that up there.
Right.
You know. The problem is that you have people like William Gore out there in San Diego who think that we, the people who own those mugshots, don't have a right to them.
Well, I guess, I don't know, but there's some capital investment and labor that goes into actually getting them and posting them that most people don't go through.
You can get them from San Diego.
Well, yeah, you can get them from anywhere, but who does it?
No, you can't.
No?
Billboard blocked all mugshots. You can't get them
Oh,
because mugshots interfere with their cases, according to Billboard.
you know, I got mixed feelings about mugshots.
Let me.
No, wait. I want to tell you my feelings about mugshots. The police, if they want to screw with you, they can make an on-site arrest. You got a mugshot, and then the case is immediately dropped because everybody knows you didn't do anything. But you know what? Your mugshot lives on forever because it's in the public domain if one of these people from mugshots.com gets it. So if it's not released to the public and your case is dismissed and it goes away, then it's not up there in the public domain. And I'm sorry, I think that's better for the individual who never did anything in the first place. Doctors get out there and explain to everybody all the intricacies of cancer. You know, I'm not going to get, medical treatments unfair. The fact of the matter is, if you're involved in criminal proceedings, you understand why there are different sentences for different people.
I understand.
Because there are some cases where the proof is very strong, and a prosecutor knows that if they take it to trial, they're going to win. And so there's not a whole lot of incentive to bargain it down. But on the other hand, there are cases where prosecutors aren't so sure they're going to get a conviction, but they're as huh?
They get rid of the case.
But they're concerned because they've got to protect law enforcement, so they got to do something other than a straight out dismissal.
No, you never know what. No.
Is that law enforcement is never held accountable for anything.
Well, that's true.
They keep getting promoted.
Well, no, I got to, JC, I got to tell you something. JC, I got to tell you something. Some people in this country are holding law enforcement accountable. And it's the result, and the result is a number of law enforcement deaths. I mean, there's people that, when they get pulled over, they're paranoid. When they're scared and they react.
Let me give JC an example because he's just so off the cuff about everything. Okay, so you have a case where a 3-year-old is interviewed by whomever, and a 3-year-old, and they say, so-and-so did this to me, which basically had intercourse with me. And the testimony's backed up by medical records showing, that there
was
are
penetration
injuries to that 3-year-old. But, and we maybe make it a little older, who knows. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people do not want to put that 3-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old through trial, testimony, the trauma of it. Now, if they did, they could probably get a lot of time, but they want to get the guy for something. And so they give him a pretty good deal so that they can get him for something rather than put a child through the trauma of testifying. But from what you're saying, JC, since they don't want to put the child through the trauma of testifying, they should just drop the charge and let the guy go?
Well, when the child is 3 years old, okay, you let the medical records speak.
You can't. Yeah, unfortunately, JC, unfortunately, you want to take away a
He's not listening.
Yeah, you want to take away a defendant's right to cross-examination and face their accuser, so you're the one who wants to take away constitutional rights now, don't you?
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Okay? A 3-year-old. The first thing you have to worry about is the manipulation of who's ever in control of that 3-year-old.
I agree.
Like you do with all. Okay? If you've got a child.
That's why I put the example of medical records in.
Why can't you just take that child into an interview room, put that kid on a camera, record that kid, okay, in that room like you're talking to the kid, okay, when you're having your discussions with the kid, you should be recording it.
Right.
Why put the kid through the computer?
because
go.
because
This is
because
what-
because unfortunately.
And then-
Unfortunately, in this country, we have a right to confront your accuser, to cross-examine your accuser, to try to break down your accuser and find holes in their
I
testimony.
agree with that.
Right. So you can't
But
do that.
when you're talking about your accuser being 3 years old.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know of any exceptions in the Sixth Amendment. Maybe we can look for that, because when you start finding exceptions in constitutional rights, you start to have problems.
Did we go
Absolutely.
beyond our time?
Yeah.
And we don't have any of them anymore, though.
Right.
They're talking, you know, what are we going to do when they come take our guns out of our houses without warrants, right? Who posed that question today? Ed, did you throw that up?
Yeah.
You know?
We do have. Wait,
The
JC,
real
we
deal
do
is-
have to go. It's time to go. I thank you
Yeah.
for calling in. We had some great callers
I do
today.
gotta go,
JC,
but
we're always
Yeah.
going to give you an opportunity to call in, but you have to understand when we're talking to somebody else and you
Okay.
call in, it disrupts the whole conversation because
No,
of the
it
phone.
doesn't
Okay,
disrupt
it doesn't.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, JC.
I got it.
Bye. Okay, everybody have a great week, and we will see you next week.